and welcome back. I am 13, and I'm hoping tonight's one of these decks that looks like it's going to flop miserably on paper, but actually turn out to be mildly successful. And the deck tonight is going to be Swol Badger. You did hear me correctly, Swol Badger. So this is going to be akin to a Stoneforge Mystic Hammer deck, but we're also trying to get the Metalcraft thing going, and we're probably going to get absolutely wrecked by Ren and 6, but whatever. We're going to figure that out. So, to start off, Charging Badger! Yes, the 1 mana 1/1 Trampler is relevant. This was going to be Swole Squirrel. I wanted a 17/17 Squirrel token so badly tonight, but yeah, not going to happen. So, instead, we have Charging Badger. And then we're going to hopefully just like suit him up with all this equipment, make him a total bad A, and let him go to town. So first and foremost, Colossus Hammer. Trample on the Badger is actually relevant. Hopefully we're going to have an 11/11 Trampler and put some work in. And more importantly, we're going to put Argentum armor on him. So all in all, 17/17 Trample. Can't have flying, and whenever it attacks, destroy target permanent. We are going to try to cheese this into play with the Stoneforge Mystic package. Stoneforge will go tutor up whatever equipment is most relevant at the time. Then we have Pure Steel Paladin and Cigar's Aid to hopefully just slam that on. Words are hard. Slam that onto the creature without paying the equip cost. Because if you look at these two, it's equip 8 and equip 6. Yeah, that doesn't happen in Modern. So hopefully we're going to equip it to the creature, just slam it into play, put it onto our Badger, or honestly, Birds of Paradise, or Noble Hierarch. I guess we took the birds out, but whatever. Then on top of that, we are trying to get Metalcraft for our Pure Steel Paladin, so we can actually pull that off. We have Walking Ballista and Basilisk Collar. This means that we can ping something, and the death touch from pinging should actually kill creatures. This will hopefully keep creatures off the ground, as well as giving us 2 artifacts for Metalcraft. And then we are rocking a Smuggler's Copter to kind of filter our draws. If we are seeing some bad stuff, we can get rid of it, but yeah, that's going to be the deck concept. So we have a couple of the different swords in there, Batter Skull, but for the most part, we're just going to hopefully get a Badger and then make it a 17/17 and have our opponent scoop and be sad that they died to a Badger. Yeah, and this looks pretty good right off the bat. So, of note, the Astrolabes are in here for Metalcraft, and we might not be able to cast this one immediately. We're going to have green. Yeah, I can just go get a basic force. We can hang on to this. Turn 1 Noble, turn 2 Stoneforge Astrolabe. Those are terms I'm fine with. Our deck is a little light on the removal just because we need so many pieces to go off. We have 3 Path to Exiles, and that's it. But Snow-Covered Forest and the Noble Hierarch. Alright, Human Druid. Put some work in. Darkslick Shores. So, Fairies ad nauseum. Mel. Oh, this is going to be hilarious. Ooh, and we found the hammer. We don't have a way to easy equip, though. The Stoneforge Mystic is going to give our opponent the opportunity to archive trap us, but whatever. We've kind of just got to start doing things. We can go get our... Geez, at this point, I think I just want a fast clock, so it's probably the Batter Skull. And then... I can hammer, but if we top deck a Cigar's Aid, that feels bad. So I'm just going to Astrolabe, despite the fact that this is going to draw us 1 card deeper. And that is the money shot right there. That is gorgeous. We are going to be able to get Metalcraft next turn. So we get to pay 2 mana, put in the Batter Skull, then we get to slam the Colossus. Oh, no, we won't be able to Pure Steel on top of that. Oh, this is the new Vengevine deck. Okay, well, we might be better off than I was expecting versus Mill. Enters tap, so they're not going off this turn. They do have a Vengevine in the yard. And 2 Prized Amalgams. So I'm 1 white short of doing everything that I want to here, which means I'm probably going to be on put in Batter Skull and hold up path. And then the following turn, I can Pure Steel Paladin with Hammer and swing in for 15/15 lifelink. No Badger, but that's pretty delicious. All right. Glimpse of the Unthinkable. I'm so confused. Is Mill a backup plan for them, or are they just trying something new? I'm suspecting they have an Altar of Dementia. Oh, that's a Bloodghast. So opponent can get a reasonable board, but I actually don't think reasonable is going to contend with a 14/14 lifelinking Germ. I suppose opponent could have Fatal Push. Yep, they're still milling themselves. It's Carrion Feed or Stitcher Supplier build. Glimpse of the Unthinkable is so weird, though. Like, you do get to mill yourself. Yep, you have a board state, opponent. So we get to Path the Vengevine. Opponent gets to mill. Hit a Creeping Chill. So this is weird dredge. I mean, opponent's definitely playing with some spice here. But they've got to have up Fatal Push. And if they had Fatal Push, they probably would have tried to kill our Stoneforge Mystic. Ooh, Walking Ballista. Alright, Walking Ballista doesn't actually do much here, so I think we're just going to go for the... Let's actually Hammer first. Just that if they do have a removal for the Pure Steel Paladin, they have to blow it now. Oh well. 14/14 lifelink Germ. 15 with Exalted. And down goes the crab. So opponent's probably going to start milling us. I mean, that's the only world where this kind of works for them, I assume. Like, if they have removal, they have to hit the Pure Steel Paladin and then the Germ token. Oh, geez. And sort of Feast and Famine just means that this goes unblocked. Because, yeah. All right. Didn't even want to try to mill us there. That was about everything I wanted in life. Now we get 3 rips. Oh, man, that's awesome. Timely reinforcements could be a consideration just because they go pretty hard, but I don't like this plan. I think that we just need to try to actually do what we're going to do. This package is in here to grind. This package is in here for Urza's Sword or just anything that they could be good for, as well as burn. We want a really big Badger. And I think we need to keep our Gentum Armor in for that. The Exile is really good. I could take out the Mana Dorks. Okay, Basilisk Collar comes out. Killing their creatures doesn't mean a whole lot, and the lifelink's only mildly relevant. And maybe just some number of Smuggler's Copters. This just doesn't really do a whole lot. I don't want to trim too hard on my artifacts, though. We need to have Metalcraft for the Pure Steel Paladin. Maybe just the Mana Dork. I don't know. Super scientific. Spellskite could be a consideration. I'm assuming they're on Ancient Grudge. This could protect equipment of ours. Also keep our artifact count higher. Maybe I was supposed to take out 2 Smuggler's Copters for Spellskites. This is a very, very, very slow hand. We can do better than that. Sigarda's Aid into Stoneforge Mystic. Yep. We get to tuck one of the additional Stoneforge Mystics. I mean, that can go get us an additional artifact. I just don't think it's relevant at the moment. Well, Stitcher Supplier is a really good start for them. They have Nature's Claims. Yeah, I guess they're not red. That makes sense. And no green mana. Oh well, Sigarda's Aid is fine. The verbiage on Sigarda's Aid is whenever equipment enters the battlefield under your control, so Stoneforge Mystic will allow us to equip and toss it in. What is my first equipment? I kind of imagine it just has to be Batterskull. Found 2 Venge Vines. Oh boy, that gets bad quickly. Alright, so I could potentially see here Walking Ballista kill the Stitcher Supplier because that'd get rid of the only zombie on board. But I don't know what's in my opponent's hand, and they currently have no Gravecrawlers in the yard. So I think I'm just on Stoneforge Mystic, and I think our best bet's just the Batterskull. I could see an argument for the Argentum armor and just try to take them off their mana here, but Batterskull, we can cheese into play and actually opt to equip it to Stoneforge Mystic to block the Venge Vines. And I don't think our opponent has a fast way to deal with that. I can also Walking Ballista first, and that doesn't actually do anything. I won't gain enough life by pinging things. I won't have enough mana. I'd love a green source off the top. Noble plus any of my 2 mana threats seems perfectly viable. Alright, that's a Carrion Feeder. So opponent's getting back their Blood Gas. They get to sack both Blood Gas, get 2 counters on Carrion Feeder. Sack the Stitcher Supplier, go looking for a Gravecrawler if they don't have a card in hand. Interesting, they only sacked... Oh, because this one doesn't have Summoning Sickness. That makes sense. They're going to try to make this fast. Then hard cast a Bloodghast. Alright, I kind of want the green now, just that Noble can chump block for a turn. Well, that's disgusting. I don't think we're beating that. Stoneforge Mystic is a fun card, but it does show how ridiculous it is that it was on the ban list. So I'm at 8, opponent swings in, I assign block on Stoneforge Mystic there, I plop in Batterskull, assign it as a blocker. I end up gaining 5, lose 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, assuming that they don't have any way to sack for the Carrion Feeder. Alternatively, I just Stoneforge Mystic chump block with... That doesn't work. I need Batterskull to gain me life. I'm still taking 13, so the opponent gets it. Oh boy. So opponent had Nature's Claim. I do think that this is correct. This also blocks Prized Amalgams pretty well. So we can do that trade. And the Timely could buy us a couple of turns there. I do think we get bigger than opponent, but... Man, as much as I want to... yeah, I can't cut the Charging Badger. That's like the whole point of this deck. I should have mulled for a Rip. I don't know. I was already at 6. And I had kind of a mediocre hand. Whatever. Pure Steel's slightly slow. Nope. We're at 60. I'm bad at counting. Or worse, I'm bad at reading the number that's literally on the screen. But... Charging Badger, I have faith in you. We're going to set you up with some good equipment at some point tonight. It just might not be versus the very fast, explosive deck. Alright, this is going to go get me a Temple Garden, path their first threat. I get a Stoneforge, drop in an equipment. Or I mulligan and look for a Rip. I don't think path really gets me there. I don't even have a Snowland. Alright. Well, I'm not going any lower, so we can keep this. I technically only need 2 mana for this deck to function. I would like 3, but I can do it with 2. So I think I'm going to tuck one of the Snowlands. This is a redraw. the Badger. So it's going to be turn 1 Badger, turn 2 Sigarda's Aid Astrolabe, hopefully find a third land, and sort of Feast and Famine. Actually, no, because I have to tuck one more thing, so I don't have enough mana for Pure Steel Paladin, so I think we're just going to try to dodge Metalcraft this game. So disgusting. But we have a Badger, and we have a Sword of Feast and Famine. I have hopes and dreams here. Actually, hopes and dreams are top decking a Colossus Hammer. That is completely what the hopes and dreams are. Top deck a Colossus Hammer, swing for 11. Rip. Rip, rip, rip. Alright, well, as much as I don't want to take the shock here, gonna put it in just because sort of Feast and Famine gets to come down next turn. Hedron Crab actually blocks sort of Feast and Famine pretty profitably, so, and by profitably I mean it's not going to take the trigger from hitting them. Ooh boy, things are about to explode. Found a Prized Amalgam and a Grave Crawler, but that's it. So they've... Should probably look at the other 8 cards, or 4 cards. 6? I just played Mill. There's a Bloodghast not coming back yet. Another Bloodghast and a Prized Amalgam. So sort of Feast and Famine means that I have a blocker for a long while. And that's a Walking Ballista. I'll run my stuff out, but I think we lost this when we had to mold a 5 and didn't even find a rip. Hindsight says should have kept the 7, but that's not the proper way of thinking about it. I don't think our 7 would have beat this lineup either. Actually, Trample was the whole reason I put the Badger in the deck. That does make the sword triggers go off. That is disgusting. Alright, they found another Vengevine, so they just need to find or be holding a zombie. And I am taking the absolute Nutter Butters if that's the case. All the Prized Amalgams come back. And by all, I mean the single one. No, they have 2. They have 2 Vengevines, 2 Prized Amalgams. Hardcasted Bloodghast. That's fine. Ooh, and no trigger for the Vengevines. Okay, I can kind of deal with this. Okay, so Sigarda's Aid lets me cast them as though they had Flash. Opponent has 2 cards in hand. What I can do is I can swing in with the Badger. These can't block, so if they only assign blocks on 1 Hedron Crab, I equip the sword. I'm going to trample over for 1, untap my lands, and be able to block with the Walking Ballista. I mean, it's not a pretty line, but it is my line. Ta-da! Sword of Feast and Famine. Equip you to Charging Badger. Wouldn't be too surprised to see opponent crack the fetch land here to mill for 4. If they crack for a removal spell, then we'll just go to match 2. Oh, the shenanigans. Our Badger's getting in, though. He's doing work. And by doing work, I mean he's probably going to eat a Fatal Push here. They have Collective Brutality. I haven't seen a push yet. Yes, Seraphex, I'm playing with a Charging Badger. You've been here long enough. You should know that this is a possibility. Yep, we use Sigarda's Aid ability. Trample over for 1. Thank you. Opponent discards a Bloodghast, so they had 2 Bloodghasts in hand. That's kind of disgusting. Oh, I overpaid. Untap this for me, Moto. You know you want to? Interesting. If they would have actually blown up Sigardazade with the Sword of Feast and Famine on the stack, I wouldn't have been able to equip. I don't know if this is the correct call. Now, I get to gain 4 life. Opponent has 0 cards in hand. I think I'm supposed to shoot the Bloodghast. Because, no, that actually doesn't matter. I'd rather gain the 4 life and then lose 2. Opponent will likely find a land in the next 2 turns, which makes that neutral versus the guaranteed 4 life here. Alright. Prized Amalgam comes in, so they get to cast the Gravecrawler. The other Gravecrawler, which means the Vengevines come in. And I'm taking 6, 12, 20. So Colossus Hammer will win this for me. So rip Colossus Hammer off the top. Pretty please. Yeah, if I would have shot the Bloodghast, I would have died there. Canopy. So that's a redraw for Hammer. There's 4 in the deck. Yeah, that's heartbreaking. All right, well, I would say that we actually put up a fight there. I don't know if that's actually stock, new Dredge, or whatever you want to call Hedron Hogak had become, but yeah, I'm not sure about the Glimpse of the Unthinkables. That feels more like a mill card, and they only showed us 1 Creeping Chill. Either way, we're playing Swol Badger tonight. Basically trying to get a 17/17 Badger with a Colossus Hammer and Argentum Armor on it, because, yeah, that's what we do here. I do incredibly stupid things. I will point out that this deck is $900 in paper. That's to try to get a Badger with some equipment on it. But we're having fun. Yeah, I think that's all I can really say is we're going to have some fun here. We are running with Metalcraft. We have Walking Ballista, Basilisk Collar. Like, we're doing some fun stuff here. This, I can't keep this. So the 2 Sigardazade already means that this is a 6. It's a single lander. We can basically just Charging Badger with this hand. We get better starts. This is a little bit better. So we get to start off with probably Astrolabe here. Either way, I know I'm keeping this, and with the Pure Steel Paladin, it's kind of interesting to keep the Argentum Armor, because I get to go tutor like Batter Skull with the Stoneforge Mystic. Then I get a free equip it. But that means I'm tucking the Astrolabe. Argentum Armor goes away. I really wanted a Thoughtseize there and have opponent just be like, WTF is going on? They get to bobble us. Show me a Badger. I gotta see the snow-covered forest. Lame. Alright, well, let's just start things strong. I actually think the correct call there is the Astrolabe, because I'm not going to be getting anything. Actually, yeah, I can't get anything here that will make Badger's attack next turn impactful other than just chipping in for 1. I mean, it's strongest turn 1 play in Modern, right, guys? Filters into Izzet colors for a Goblin Engineer. Alright. So, sword stuff is coming. Assuming this is going to be a Thopter Foundry or Sword of the Meek. There's the Sword of the Meek. So, Astrolabe last turn would have also allowed me to filter into the Pure Steel Paladin. This is actually a pretty good draw. So this means that I get to go get Hammer here, and I can actually swing in for 11 the following turn. Or I think the correct call is to go get the Argentum Armor, so that if they try to go for their combo, I can blow up the Thopter Foundry. because this is going to be minimum a 3-turn clock, probably 4-turn. If I get the Argentum armor, I just get to start blowing up their pieces. That's a tough call. I think I'm going for the armor. I think it's better versus combo. Yeah, it's so tough. I do like how Twitch chat doesn't even try to contribute there. Oh, I actually should have gone for hammer because I don't have the double white here to actually support that. Say charging badger. Say charging badger. Pithy needle. Hammer would have been significantly a better call there. So this likely means I'm going to lead on Astrolabe and then Sigarda's Aid. I don't even know what that means I want to draw into. Alright, opponent has a Mox Opal, so they have 3 mana this turn. Another Astrolabe, so they might be searching for their Foundry. Okay, Welding Jar makes things a little bit more complicated. Ooh boy. That's a Walking Ballista. That can help us next turn. Let's look for white mana though. That's white mana. So, definitely leading on the plains here. I can Sigarda's Aid. That doesn't really help me for future turns. Most mana efficient play here is Pure Steel Paladin. And then next turn I can shoot down the Goblin Engineer. Not like he's doing anything productive though. Yeah, let's just play for mana efficiency. I guess another line there was I could have attacked with Stoneforge Mystic, seen if they were going to block, and then shot the Engineer post-combat with the Ballista. I don't like cashing out for that, though. I think the Ballista has a little bit better long-term value shooting down the Thopters that get created from the Foundry to try to interrupt sort of the Meek from coming back. That's still super slow, and we're going to lose that fight, but it'll buy us a little bit of time. Because like we slam this and we can actually equip things, we start doing pretty well. But this looks like an Urza, although it should have been Urza last turn. We're for 2 might be Spyglass. This is probably going to just be the Thopter Foundry. Yep. This right here is pretty backbreaking. Not gonna lie, that was like the worst card they could have drawn for us. We got another Badger. Ugh. So I have to lead on my Walking Ballista here so that if they try to do shenanigans, they can sack any of these artifacts to get back the sort of the Meek on a Thopter. This at least allows me to attack in this turn. Yep. This does not feel like a fight I'm winning. I do have a good number of top decks, though. Notably, Sword of Fire and Ice does get around the blue Thopters from Thopter Foundry. Alara was a weird block, so we have blue Thopters for some reason. that wasn't worth it. I forgot they had an opal. Alright, well, I think this gives us one turn to top deck, because next turn they get to activate their Thopter Foundry 5 times. Oh, that's disgusting. They also get to start activating Engineer to cycle through Astrolabs to keep drawing cards every turn, as long as they want to activate. So I need to find a Sword of Fire and Ice, a Colossus Hammer, or a... Ugh, I guess I'm 1 mana off of Argentum Armor now. Opponent's already seen these cards. I think we're better off keeping some of the mystery alive. We'll let them go off. We're still on a 3-turn clock from opponent. I guess 3-turn including this turn, so that gives us 1 turn to draw out of this. Batter Skull's also kind of live. That Pithing Needle, man, that hurt. That hurt a lot. Alright, you're going to make 3 more Thopters, or 1 more and... or 2 more and draw a card. The Welding Jar is even protecting the Thopter Foundry from Argentum Armor for a turn. Oh well, by trying to top deck a land here, we can potentially have a 7/7 Badger, and that is half of the goal tonight, so... You got it. Inventor's Fair can also go tutor a redundant artifact combo piece. It won't go get Urza, so they can't go infinite, but not feeling amazing about this current spot. Yep. Huh? I should have ran out the Sigardazade. I thought we had one out, but I was thinking of the Pure Steel Paladin. This is still minorly... No, they're just going to kill us here. So I was going to say I can swing in, put the Sword of Feast and Famine instant speed on the Badger. We'll kill the Goblin Engineer. Subsequently, untap all of our lands. We'll be floating to 1, which means we can throw on the Argentum Armor, but it's too slow for it to do anything, and we're dead in the air on the crack back. So showing the Sigardazade was actually a mistake there, but whatever. The opponent should have an idea of what we're doing. Spellskite could be a consideration. I haven't actually thought far enough ahead to see what that could activate towards. I actually don't know off the top of my head if Spellskite can... yeah, Spellskite and equipment that the opponent controls. Yeah, Spellskite's an illegal target because you can't equip your opponent's creatures. Kind of what I thought. Knight of Autumn definitely coming in, though. This is pretty much the matchup that they're in here for. I kind of like Nissa just because we can buy back an equipment. And the grind ability of the plus is amazing. Rip is also probably coming in just for the sword combo. It's just so hard for us to kill with that. We can try to keep this out and keep our speed up. So by not having Rip, we go lower to the ground and just try to go fast. Or we bring in Rip and expect to be able to grind a little bit. The fact that Badger is trample here, again, is becoming relevant. But we need equipment on it first. The Collar with Walking Ballista is less beneficial. Oh, this is so bad. So very bad. The things we do for memes. So, Path needs to stay in for Urza. Barf. Feast and Famine doesn't really do a whole lot in this matchup, so I can see trimming that because it's a little bit more on the expensive end and it doesn't have to deal with suiting up a Badger. Then maybe Pure Steel Paladin? Ugh. I have a dirty feeling this is not going to go well. Astrolabe, Sword of Fire and Ice is one of our better ones, but we have no way to quick equip it and we have no sideboard cards. The path is going to be dead unless they're holding an Urza, so I'm looking at this as like a 5-card hand with 4 lands in it. That's going back. It's so bad. It's so very bad. But I keep bad hands. That's kind of what I do. It's my thing. If we do find our other basic, Astrolabe can help us there. I'm going to drop the Astrolabe first for filtering reasons and for cantripping. I'm just looking for a replacement land. Honestly, if we move past this matchup, I'm kind of okay with that. Okay, we found a land. That means that we almost have Metalcraft. Opponent apparently liked our start. They're just a little bit more blue than us. Alright, so I think the plan is for a quick kill here, which means I'm going to Stoneforge Mystic for Colossus Hammer. And just try to go for a really quick, if they have Pithy Needle, we won't get completely shafted by it. Because this means that Stoneforge Mystic swinging in for 11 next turn before opponent has any time to set up. And we get to do them dirty. I don't think opponent plays much interaction as far as creature removal. I could be wrong about that, but I think most of their deck is just trying to set up to not die. They might have an Ensnaring Bridge. In which case, Pure Steel actually being able to move things would be good. Although that's not instant speed. We'd need the Leonin to do that. Ichor Wellspring. Alright, well, opponent's at 17 and about to take 11. That's not a land. It's not a Badger, but it'll do. $11 Motor locked up a little bit. I was kind of expecting a concession. I don't know what kind of interaction opponent could have here, but depending on how they lead, we could just... Like, they have to find a chump blocker. Filtering into Abrupt Decay mana? Assassin's Trophy? Okay, that works. I'm perfectly okay with extra mana. Smuggler's Copter won't be able to attack, though. That's kind of sad. So I'll turn away from that. Windswept can go get Dryad Arbor, so I think that's going to be my plan, at least for the current moment. Too bad this won't let you cast vehicles. I'm pretty... Yeah, Kaladesh came after Eldritch Moon. Alright, well, swing for 2. Opponent goes down to dead to Smuggler's Copter. We did hammer somebody. It just wasn't a one-shot kill, and it wasn't on a Badger. Alright, opponent did find a Thopter Foundry, so they're going to be able to block. So, going to be attacking with 3 creatures? 2 creatures. No, I'll Pure Steel first, depending on what I draw for turn. But we get Dryad Arbor. This is in here to protect against Edict effects. Hey, there's a Badger! No, we're going to crew with the Badger, because that sounds amazing. Charging Badger, would you like to crew Smuggler's Copter? Please and thank you. So if they do end up making a single Thopter out of this, they get to block the Smuggler's Copter. They still go down to 2. Second Smuggler's Copter. Should have done that and begin combat. And now I get a loot. But that's fine. Now I might draw into another hammer. Oh no, I only have the 1. Astrolabe will cantrip. I like the Smuggler's Copter, but I'd rather have the Pure Steel Paladin, so let's pitch Copter 2. Opponent takes 2, goes to 2. Then have to do Snow here. Free card! Also closer to enabling Metalcraft. That should get rid of a blocker, and I'm assuming we're in a decent spot. I guess opponent could slam Urza, but they wouldn't have a Sword of the Meek. I'm guessing the Smuggler's Copter was better than the Astrolabe there, but I wouldn't be able to Pure Steel and Smuggler's Copter. And this felt like it had a lot of potential to be able to re-equip if the opponent can answer a creature. It is worth knowing that they have both Assassin's Trophy and Fatal Push post board. Oh, the ridiculousness. All right. Badger goes the distance. Then they get to sack the Astrolabe. They'll go to 4. I path a creature, and they should die. I think I'm going to hold off on my path for the moment, because if they try to block Charging Badger, I at least get through for the one additional one. So they're going to assign 1 in front of the Pure Steel Paladin, 1 probably in front of Dryad Arbor, because it generates mana. Or potentially they don't like the Badger, but they filtered into the Star first. That's weird. I'd assume they'd want to sack the Star to... Okay, well, this is still it. Blast, even without the Metalcraft, will kill the Pure Steel Paladin, but they have no blockers now, so they take 3 and die. Opponent stumbled on mana a little bit there, but we also flooded fairly hard for our deck. Seeing all the removal that comes in, I'm probably going to bring in Spellskite for that split. Yeah, this is a decent card for enabling Metalcraft, but that's about it. So maybe that should be a consideration before the Copter, just because the Copter actually has functions in our deck. Charging Badger into Shram, and I don't have any cantrips to go for. Oh, this is a Dryad Arbor. Yep, nope, we can't keep that. This is slightly better. So we keep this, tuck probably the Temple Garden. And we have a very mediocre looking hand that needs like a Stoneforge Mystic or something to go off. Feels so bad to mulligan. Like, I already don't like to mulligan very much as a person, but when... That's a fantastic draw. But when you need to have Metalcraft... So much harder. Well, we got a Badger. One day you're going to pay dividends, Badger. That might not be today, but one day. So they can Foundry and still have 1 mana up. Well, that's a path. First things first. Astrolabe, see what we draw. Alright, another land means that we get a Knight of Autumn. Opponent hasn't shown us anything here I should be concerned with, so Badger gets to chip in for 1. Rawr, he's a Badger. Then we get Path to Exile in case opponent's actually on Urza next turn. Getting green. So I'm getting the read there that opponent probably has an Assassin's Trophy. That might not be a good read, it's just what I'm getting. Otherwise, they probably have other colors they'd rather prioritize. I'm not gonna lie, I was looking at that path on my Badger thinking that looked a little tempting. Alright, well, opponent has plenty of lands, but the Opal's not online yet. I think I have better things to do than to try to Knight of Autumn on the Opal. Knight of Autumn getting counters is kind of tempting here, just because opponent looks like they're behind by a little bit. If they find a combo piece, I'd rather slam Knight on that, so let's just Walking Ballista for 1. Not expecting much value out of him. Hold up path and then have Knight of Autumn the following turn. The fact they haven't cracked their star also, to me, means that they're trying to get their own Metalcraft going. Or have a Construct coming. Okay, with the trigger on the stack, so Mox Opal never gets turned on, I'm going to path Urza. Just in case they have interaction, they won't be able to do it right meow. Yep, there's a Construct. Then I think that means I'm doing Knight of Autumn against the Construct and just trying to close out the game on the ground. That is a Sigarda's Aid for a following turn. I like that. So let's blow up Construct, and the game is over. I'm actually quite surprised we won that one. The Badger! The Badger was getting in there! Alright, well, the dream tonight is a 17-17 Badger with a hammer and Argentum armor. Like, I'm picturing Thor the Badger, and we're hopefully going to get there. We could have actually put Argentum armor on the Badger, it just wouldn't have made a difference. So, yeah, that's... Oh, wow. This is going to have to find a land, and even then, SRAM's not drawing many cards. Ooh, boy. It's not getting much better. So if I keep this, this means that I need to find a land in my top 2 cards. If I do, I get a Walking Ballista on 1, and then Smuggler's Copter and start trying to loot into it. I'm probably having to tuck the other Walking Ballista. Oh boy, I need to look at my deck really quick. So our ideal draw is probably a Sigarda's Aid, a Badger, and a Stoneforge Mystic. We can get that, but that's our nut draw. Being on the play, whatever, we'll keep it. This is awful, but we're playing with Badgers, so the floor is really low here. And the ceiling isn't that much higher. Oh boy. Land! I need a land! We're playing against Martyr Proc. So they're going to try to gain some life, and I have to path this. So the way that this would work is if they hit me, they go to 21, and then they Martyr of Sands if they have it, and gain 9 life. And it becomes a 30-30. Okay, well, I don't really want to cash out my only creature here, but I can't let the Serra Ascendant stay on the table. So, bye-bye. 2 Serra Ascendants down. Ramped opponent, and I have no action meow. Opponent went for a Batterskull. Makes sense. There's the Martyr Sand. So they reveal X white cards in hand and sack it to gain a lot of life. I have nothing that enables me here. I cannot beat a Batterskull. If I path, they're just 1 lane closer to casting the Batterskull, though. I think I have to take my turn to run out my own Stoneforge Mystic. And my best card here is probably Batterskull. I don't have anything with Pro White. Oh, this is abysmal. But honestly, I registered Charging Badger ×4 in my deck. If this wasn't going to be an uphill battle, then I might have mental issues. Opponent shouldn't be able to swing in here. That's a walking ballista. Alright, well, this puts me on put in my Batterskull token and chump block. They path their own Martyr of Sands. Alright. I made good line from them. They were trying to get up to the 5 mana so they can bounce and replay it. In the meantime, I'm just going to put this into play. I think I'm going to take the 4 for now just because I would love to top deck a Sigarda's Aid and swing in for 14. It's not likely, but gotta play to your hopes and dreams here. Ranger of Eos gets to go tutor up 2 Serra Ascendants or Thraben Inspectors if opponent wants to draw cards. Yep, Serra Ascendants it is. And I have a Temple Garden now, so... I actually think I'm going to take a line from opponent and plan on pathing my own creature here. So I'm going to run out my Smuggler's Copter. I'm not going to attack because I don't want opponent to gain the life here to make these Serra Ascendants closer to going off. What I am going to do is try to crew my Copter and then assign block and path it to ramp myself, deny the opponent the 4 life, and hopefully get me back into this game. Okay, I'm actually going to crew with the Germ because if they go to remove my Smuggler's Copter, I can still sign block with the Stoneforge Mystic and follow the same line. This will also hopefully loot me into something decent. I guess I actually could double block here. So if I double block, they have to kill either the Stoneforge Mystic or the Copter. I still get a loot with the Copter. They only go to 28, which means they need to find a way to gain 2 life. And they have to invest a lot of mana into bouncing the Germ and replaying it. Yeah, this is fine. There's a land. I think I don't want the other Smuggler's Copter. Then I get to path. I guess it's just a forest at this point. There's Martyr of Sand, so they're going to be above 30. And I don't think I can win this game at this point unless I draw exactly Sigarda's Aid into exactly Argentum Armor. Opponent might actually be leaving this mana up to bounce the Batterskull. Nope. Revealed their hand, which is a Ranger Captain, 2 Serra Ascendants. Drop the 2 Serra Ascendants. So, yep, can't win at this point. They're going to kill me in the air. Slow start for both sides. I think that path on 1 was actually why I lost that game. Knight of Autumn comes in. Tireless Tracker probably comes in. And unfortunately, Tireless Tracker comes in the place of the Charging Badgers, just because I'm expecting to grind. What they can do is grind, and they can grind very well. SRAM probably is going to be a cut at that point. He just is a one-off, and he does okay, but it's nothing spectacular, and then probably 2 Smuggler's Copters. The clues from Tireless Tracker will allow us to Metalcraft, which is why he's the sideboard card of choice here. Rip could be a consideration. The other half of their combo is reanimating stuff from their graveyard, but it's really slow, and we're probably going to win if it gets that late into the game. They're either just ahead and we're trying to stay alive and they'll close out the game from the yard, or we'll probably just win while they're trying to grind out of the yard. Spellskite could be a consideration. I'm expecting Disenchant out of them, but whatever. We can run like this. There are some concerns with this list going in without the Metalcraft, but Look at this. This is mostly a Metalcraft hand. We're really close. There's no grind here, but we do have a redraw, as well as 2 ways to free equipment. Really all I can ask for is the mana, though. We spent far too long with no mana. I need to pick up my clock. I would not be surprised if this goes to time if we take game 2. Alright, Noble Hierarch, go face their Serra Ascendant. Of note, the other reason I like this hand was Walking Blessing can shoot down the Serra Ascendant on one. Martyr of Sands. A little bit of a weaker start, but if they go this route, they can actually protect the Serra Ascendant. They also can't sacrifice it right now. So I think what I'm going to do is lead on the Astrolabe with intent to Walking Ballista. Yeah. I want to kill this before they gain life, just because if they don't gain life immediately, it's really hard for them to come back from this. There's a Thraben Inspector. Fun. Pure Steel Paladin. I'm actually considering blowing up one of their clues here. That's really sad that that's what I'm considering, but they only have 3 cards in hand, and I'm looking down a couple of 1/2s. And I think that's the plan. Just because I came into this expecting to grind, so I'd rather they just don't get replacement cards. Are you going to field my Horizon Canopy? Nope. Yeah, they were trying to draw into action. That was definitely the right call there. Alright, Snow-Covered Forest. So first things first, cash this out and draw a card. That wasn't really a card I was looking for, but I appreciate you trying, deck. Then this means I'm probably just dropping a Pure Steel Paladin, and then my Sigardazade. I don't want to trade Knight of Autumn for a Thraben Inspector. My equipments are better than theirs, so odds are this will turn into a viable attacker before too long, where these already cashed out for a clue token. Thraben Inspector is so powerful. I traded half my 3 mana card for half their 1 mana card, and they trade. Ugh. Sad days, sad days. That is a Colossus Hammer. I'm not very smart. With Exalted, they would have to... they'd still trade 1 for 1. Okay. Alright. Not too mad at that, although I know I'm doing this anyway, so I may as well do it now. I don't think I have much interaction I care about. Nope. Alright, well, now that one path is down, that play typically means they have another path, so I'm going to bait that out with my Stoneforge Mystic. Batterskull's probably one of the better cards here, but I could also see sort of Fire and Ice. I really want to do Argentum Armor, though. We came here to do memes. We're going to take the big guy. In reality, I should have attacked with both of these. I was trying to bait the double block. Okay. Trying to enable Revolt. That's less good. So I still get a slam Colossus Hammer at their end step. Bradwin, I'm not disagreeing because I was intending to grind and that's draw a card every turn, but Argentum armor can start blowing up their lands when they're going to try to cast 6 mana spells in this matchup. Um, I do think it's a toss-up, but we came here to meme, and it's not every deck I get to jam this into, so I'm definitely going to try to do it when I can. Martyr of Sands and Serra Ascendant. Okay, well, I get a draw card and make it 12-12. So opponent has to chump block with the Ranger here in order to try to protect this combo. And then this is going to put me on Smuggler's Copter, which means I get to move the Colossus Hammer anytime that I want to. Opponent just messaged me, sweet deck. I have been enjoying this one. I don't think they ever saw the Charging Badger in game 1, though. Charging Badger was my muse. I really wanted to do Squirrels, but I couldn't make Squirrel Nest fit in. I had to really lower the curve of the deck because of the way that Colossus Hammer is supposed to cheese it out. I wish I could equip it instant speed. That's making this so much harder. So I do get a swing in the air, but odds are opponent's going to be able to animate the Serra Ascendant. If they do, they'd be chump blocking the Smuggler's Copter. So they left up Field of Ruin. I'm actually going to go get Dryad Arbor here so I can equip the Smuggler's Copter since I don't actually see a way for opponent to deal with it. Like, they can Field of Ruin the Dryad Arbor, but if I crew up or if I just suit up, this actually changes things. What is my 2-mana equipment? I don't have one, but I do have the Basilisk Collar. So I can get sort of Fire and Ice, but I can't actually play it yet. Screw it. We're just going to crew up and attack. I actually might be discarding the Argentum armor now. Bradwin, I think you're right. I'm bad at this game. So opponent's trying to fog my attack with the Martyr of Sands. They're going to block and then sack to gain life. I think that means I have to go on the Smuggler's Copter, although if they have removal, that's significantly worse for me. Yeah, I don't need another Sigarda's Aid. Oh, it loses flying. I'm so bad at this game. Alright, so opponent has another Wrath of God. That feels bad, man. That feels super bad. They have 2 Rangers, a generous gift. So they're going to generous gift my Sigarda's Aid likely here. And then untap Wrath of God, drop a Serra Ascendant, that's a 6/6. Oh boy. What can I say? Opponent just wanted it more. Oh boy. So I can Stoneforge Mystic, go get Basilisk Collar. I can attack with the Smuggler's Copter to put them to 30. Alright, no Generous Gift first, just going to Wrath the board. Yep, Wrath down. There's the Serra Ascendant. This would have been so sweet if I already got it on the table. But I guess that means Stoneforge Mystic. The Death Touch would be so sweet. Batterskull will make anything I attack with Vigilant. Whatever. Fire and Ice is likely the best call here. I should have heated that the first time around. Then... Alright. Dryad Arbor was also a horrible call. I wouldn't have gotten Dryad Arbor if I remembered Colossus Hammer took away flying. It is technically on the card, it just doesn't feel relevant. Ranger of Eos goes and gets 3-bit Inspectors. Or just thinning the deck. They want less lands. I'm not mad at that. I didn't like Flagstones because I was running a Maria, and it feels like the two are mutually exclusive. Yep, now they're going to start the graveyard shenanigans. Opponent also appears to not be running Squadron Hawks. Did they get 2 more Saracendants? Ooh. The pain. Alright, the sequencing here. I want a Stoneforge Mystic, throw in the Argentum Armor, put it on the Smuggler's Copter, and attack. But opponent is very specifically holding up this Generous Gift. So I think what I'm supposed to do is actually just attack with Stoneforge Mystic. Run... No. What's going to happen is I'm going to crew up the Smuggler's Copter. I need them to blow the Generous Gift on the Smuggler's Copter this turn, so I can Argentum Armor the following turn, but that'll only get rid of one of the Saracendants, which means I need to draw into a path. Okay, whatever. We're just going for it. I can't do both. This is so bad. So, Night of Autumn. Let's just gain the life. Then we can crew a Smuggler's Copter. Go get us a white source that doesn't cost us life. Go to our begin combat step. Flash in the Argentum Armor. Actually, no, we're going to go for Sword of Fire and Ice here. Sword of Fire and Ice is less of a target, but still might actually get them to blow it. So let's equip here. Geez, that Generous Gift is so painful. At least on the positive side, we'll have an Elephant token, assuming that opponent correctly tries to blow this up. Now, they should do it now before I get the opportunity to attack and loot. I'm probably not going to loot this away just because of the sheer power level of it, but... I don't know. I don't want to pitch a path to the yard. I won't have the ability to pay for a path if I draw it. I wouldn't mind getting rid of the Bacillus Collar. Don't want to get rid of a Batterskull. I think a Pure Steel is actually probably the best card in our deck at the moment. Path would be good, but Pure Steel would be able to allow us to move the equipment around and continuously block. Yeah, I'm playing a little slow on this one. I apologize to our opponent if they ever get around to watching this. Really interesting game, though. They did run out one of the Ranger Captains. So we know their hand. These 6/6 flying lifelinkers, though, are kind of a problem. Yep. Went after the Smuggler's Copter, not the sword. Interesting. I have an elephant. I have no incentive to uh, not block there because that saves me a full turn off of the Sarah Ascendants coming down. This is probably getting Thraben Inspectors. Martyr Sands and another Sarah Ascendant. Ouch. Ouch. What if I have my own Wrath of God? Snow-covered plains. Alright, well, just because I can. No! I just bugged Magic Online. Oh well. GG's opponent. That was fun. We lost to Martyr Proc. But whatever. That's a match I'm always happy to lose. Martyr Proc is probably my favorite budget deck and probably the one I recommend the most to new players just because it's relatively cheap and it does a lot of things. Not having a Badger there made me sad. The Wrath of Gods actually put in work, though. I've actually completely trimmed all the Wrath of Gods out of my deck. We do have the ability to rebuild a little bit better than most decks in Martyr Proc, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm happy when I'm a creature-based deck running board clears in it. I played a little too hard into that. I should have known that they had it. I even actively went and searched out a creature that generated mana instead of a land, and that's just a play mistake on my part. But this is turn 1. I can go get a Dryad Arbor to crew the Smuggler's Copter, which means it's probably turn 1 Astrolabe, turn 2 Smuggler's Copter, turn 3 Dryad Arbor, swing, loot away a land. I don't have any equipment or a creature to slam it on, but I'm on the draw. I've been missing some lands. I think I'm okay to keep this. If I mull down, like we have looked at our nut draw, and it's honestly not much better than this. I actually have a Smuggler's Copter and a way to enact it. Don't have any interaction, though, and this looks like Devoted Druid. Well, that's going to be the first thing we loot away. Our Argentum Armor is technically something I can equip. Okay, this is Abzan. Nope, it's Devoted Druid combo. That is a fine draw. So, assuming we don't die here, let's just look stock at the moment. Let's grab a Batter Skull. Then next turn I get to put in Batter Skull. There's a Coco, so they're running the old build. New builds are running a lot of Mari's Call. This actually might be the Vizier version. Yep, that's pretty painful. So, go get my planes. We can Sigarda's Aid. And I suppose see if we die. They get a Coco, look for a Vizier, look for a Duskwatch Recruiter. Or they just cast the Vizier. Show me a win condition. Coco, so no win condition yet. There's a Finks and a Finks, but no sack outlet, so you gain some life. Next turn I'm attacking in with a 10-10 and blowing up the Devoted Druid, though. Batter Skull. So I have to choose a creature, but I'm going to say no to it. Then I untap. And we get to show the spice. Argentum Armor. Alright, well, it's not a Badger, but uh, 10-10 Germ. Blow up Devoted Druid. Interesting block here. I think they just wanted to gain the life. Either that or they're going to drop Gavany Township. Oh, no. That makes sense. Yep. That was my bad. Alright, well, Smuggler's Copter gets to come down. With Vizier out, that was a really smart block. I didn't think through that very hard. Okay, they're done. I do get to start blowing up their board piece by piece. There's not much coming back for them at that point. Rip only stops the Ewit loop. I don't think we're changing a whole lot. So, like, Knight of Autumn could potentially grab nothing. Like, if they're on Walking Ballista, I'm just dead because they're infinite. Timely Reinforcements is probably going off, and I could probably make a Soldier token, our Giant Badger, but that's not a world I want to be in. And if we're grinding, they're just more deterministic than we are, so I think we just run it back. I could technically have Spellskite. Maybe do that again. This actually just might be the proper configuration for the deck, since we're not running a ton of interaction, and Spellskite, we are trying to invest in a single creature. This is a Badger on 1, but no Stoneforge Mystic. This has a Stoneforge Mystic as well as a Walking Ballista. Walking Ballista notably can hit a Vizier or a Devoted Druid with a counter on it already. So I'm good to keep this, and it's probably going to be tucking Stoneforge Mystic since both of these are interactions. Carrion Feeder. So this does look a lot like the Vizier version of the deck. So they can sack the Kitchen Finks infinitely for infinite life and infinite size Carrion Feeder. And that's a Devoted Druid. Alright. Well, the Argentum Armor is a pretty decent pickup, so this means I get to run back the exact same line as last game, or I just go get a Batterskull and then... Ooh. Oh, I have the 2 Walking Ballistas. That's just removal on a stick. But I don't have the mana to actually pull that off. I'm going to need 3 mana after putting a 1/1 out, and then it only shoots once. Yeah, I think we're just going for the Batterskull to get the additional creature on the table. That was the moment that this deck is set up for, though. Alright, there's another Coco. They're just so much faster than us. Found Devoted Druid and an Ewit to pick up the Coco again. So I'm either assuming they're insanely lucky with their Ewit or they're running more than the 1. Oh boy. Alright, well, they get to hit Coco again. It's going to look them 13 cards, including draw step down. I can't imagine they don't find one of their Viziers. I'm not going to sit down and do the math, but it seems highly unlikely that they don't go infinite here. Alright, so you have infinite mana a couple times over. Do you have a payoff? The 10-10 Batterskull token has actually been doing work. I need to yield to this. There's Duskwatch. So if you haven't seen this, they get to look at the top 3 cards, reveal a creature. That'll go get them Kitchen Finks at this point. And then they have Infinite Life and Infinite Carrion Feeder. More than likely they have a single of Ballista in the deck. There's just not much of a point to make them play it out from that point. So Dead on turn 3. We got to turn 2. Oh, we did it. We have Trod. Yeah, that's not keepable. That has no lands in it. This is kind of okay. So we keep this. We ship back the Spellskite and probably... I want to be able to get green with this. So probably just the additional land here. So many of these cards are just so mediocre on their own. Like, there's some good synergy in the deck. It's just... when I kind of want to top deck a Charging Badger, there's a little hope there. Sorry, there's not much hope there. I said it with a positive inflection, meaning something negative. There's just not much that I can hope for there when I'm really just hoping to try to get something with Trample. Alright, no turn 1 play from opponent. Likely means they have a path up, but probably just thinking that because that's what my line was Windswept Teeth, hold path. Horizon Canopy, not horrible at the moment. I don't have a Sigarda's Aid, which means I'm probably on Batterskull. Argentum Armor is definitely the best card here, but if opponent's not on their Nutter Butters, which they seem to be all in on their combo, then Batterskull's just the line I have to go for. Astrolabe. I kind of want to cast this to Cantrip and potentially start getting closer towards Metalcraft, but I think I have to let opponent go and plan to put in the Batterskull and Path. Yep. Floats the mana. Good call. Oh, and then they actually eat it. A lot of times they put it into the yard expecting to hit an Ewit to pick it back up. I guess the additional mana is more important here. Now, what do they actually get with the extra mana? Looks like a Sphinx. Kitchen Sphinx. Okay, so attacking with the Batterskull gain me 4 life, but not really do anything beneficial. Gaining the opponent 2 life doesn't actually seem like it's that bad when it gains me 4 life. I guess they can double block, but they're not going to do that. Path is a fantastic top deck. Well, no Argentum Armor this time. I don't know how we looked into it in the past 2 games, but... ta-da! So this actually does put the counter on their Finks, which means Persist won't happen anymore. So that shuts off that half of that combo. Then I think I'm actually just on Smuggler's Copter, so I can attack in the air and hopefully loot away bad draws like future lands. We are out of action, though. I'm assuming an opponent has at least a Coco. 2 combo pieces in exile makes it a little easier for us to just attack in and try to win slowly. I'm not a huge fan of that line, but it does give us the line to do it. That rebuilds their Kitchen Finks, so they can block continuously with that out. +1/+1 counters negate -1/-1s. Although they didn't leave up the mana to actually activate it this turn. That's a Badger. Alright, well... fresh draw? Another Smuggler's Copter. So, I actually think I'm going to run out... nope. I'm trying to find a way to leave up the Stoneforge Mystic activation in case I find an additional equipment, but that's not going to work, and I don't have Sigarda's Aid, so it's not like it matters. Crew the Copter. Attack with all the creatures. We get to loot away redundant copper. Actually, I think we're... the Noble's additional mana. I'm okay to hang on to that since we don't actually have Sigardizade or Pure Steel yet. I guess that means the Badger goes away. Sorry, Badger. We're just playing against a combo deck. Alright, opponent found a Coco. Or better yet, they probably had it. I did say they probably had it. Alright, so they have infinite life. We can't beat them here. So what's going to happen is I'll make sure that they actually activate the Gavany Township, but they'll put a +1/+1 counter on each creature that you control. That'll get rid of the -1/-1 over here. They'll use Carrion Feeder to activate... to sacrifice a creature. It won't get a -1/-1 counter, and they just get infinite life. I assume they know that line. Like, there's a reason it's in the deck. Yep. Alright, well, that's sad. That was one of the matchups where only half of the 3 Path to Exiles did actually bite us in the butt, but... what can you do? We have Charging Badgers. Alright, well, slightly disappointed. The best Badger we could have made so far tonight was just an Argentum armor, and we had to concede before we did that. But overall, it's actually not been horrible. Like, we did make some less than ideal deck choices to make this a meme. I had never actually said that. This is a meme, 100%. Charging Badger, of course. But I do think that the Basilisk Collar might be a little greedy in the shell. It's a little bit better in Eldrazi, where you get to actually slide it onto something like a Reality Smasher or a Thought-Knot Seer. The Basilisk Collar also makes it so that you can assign 1 trample damage to any size creature and then trample the rest over, which is part of the reason I wanted it in the deck, was if we did get a really Swole Badger, we could just trample over and really mess with combat math. But the 1 to cast it, the 2 to equip it, and needing to have the Walking Ballista, we just don't run the mana base that supports that. Oh boy. We don't have any equipment and nowhere near Metalcraft, so this has to be a mulligan. And this looks slightly better. So this does actually allow me to Sigardizade on 1, Walking Ballista on 2, throw on the Basilisk Collar. I want the Path, although Walking Ballista is kind of working as better removal. I want to be able to put a counter on Walking Ballista, so I guess that just means Path goes away. And hopefully they're a little bit slower if they're creatures. That's not a world we want to be in, though. Slow creatures in Modern, that doesn't happen. Sigarda's Aid. Look at that little tiny hammer. We got a big one coming. Also, top decking a sword here means that the Walking Ballista will be a base 2/2. And this could be Grizz Shoalbrand. It could be... oh, that's so cute. But it's going to be a Walking Ballista. It could be Dredge. Insolent Neonate kind of replaced Faithless Looting in some of the more unfair decks. Stinkweed. So it's Dredge. Alright, well, Basilisk Collar can do some work. Assuming we survive long enough. There's a Stitcher Supplier, so the Gravecrawler's coming back. Dakmor Salvage. So this looks a little bit more like generic Dredge. Sword of Feast and Famine? Nope. Arcanum's Astrolabe Lobe thingy. Alright, well, I'm going to put the collar on Walking Ballista at end step. And then untap, put on a counter, and then I can remove anything on a whim. But they're going to start getting creatures back faster than I can do anything about, so... Wow, they're just hard casting the Thug. Nope. Turn off auto yields. I could put it there and then move it, but I don't actually want to actively kill this for them. So, no blocks. Want another white in case we find the Pure Steel. We can suit that up right there. Death Touch and Lifelink. Oh, and the Sword of Fire and Ice. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So it's going to be a base 2/2. I can remove the only counter on it now. Ooh. I think I have to Sword of Fire and Ice attack with the Charger because of the trample. Either that or I'm just shooting the Thug and they're going to be forced to put the Stitcher Supplier back on top of their deck. I guess I could technically Gravecrawler, but I want to draw the card. So go in, Mr. Badger! Your trample is actually proving to be relevant today. I'm proud of you. You did good things for me. I'm not killing the Stitcher Supplier for them. That's just not happening. They put Insolent Neonate on top of their deck. Ooh, that's a Path to Exile. That's actually a great one. So, I think this means that Sword of Fire and Ice has to stay on the Charging Badger. Just because of the trample. Discarded the Stinkweed Imp. If I was actively working on what my opponent was doing, I would probably know exactly what's in their hand. Because they've actually been dredging most of their turns. But I don't like Vengevine. That gets to go away forever. Bye, Vengevine. I respect your effort. That's a Batterskull. So I'm actually going to attack first in case I draw a land off of this Sword of Fire and Ice. And I'm going to leave the Walking Ballista back just because I don't want to have to pay the mana to buff it if they put Stitcher Supplier in front of it. Kill the Gravecrawler just so that they don't have a zombie around. Yeah, they found another one. So glad I targeted the Gravecrawler. And then we get to just drop the Batterskull, and then we actually get to suit up the Collar and the Batterskull on the Charging Badger. Alright, 7/7 Badger, Sword of Fire and Ice. That's going to make me happy enough to make today words are hard. Today a success. Although, putting it on the Walking Ballista also feels pretty good, but opponent might just concede to this. Yep, alright. Well, we technically had a 7/7 Badger there. They just didn't want the shame of being killed by the Badger. Alright, well, Rip comes in. I'm just going to make this trim because I feel like that's probably correct at this point. Maybe even that. Night of Autumn probably doesn't matter. Yeah, I think we just run it like that. So they were running the little bit more stock build. I should have paid more attention to their mana base. If they had red, Spellskite should probably come in. I've actually been liking Spellskite, and like I said against the last dredge opponent, it does actually block the prized amalgams pretty well. It might be correct that the Spellskite needs to be in the style of deck just because you can suit it up with equipment, it profitably blocks, and you can also save your equipments. We had a 7/7 Badger there. We just needed a hammer. All right. This is cards in it. They're not really productive cards, though. And I really want to rip. Like, really want to rip. So, I suppose we better mulligan. But, like, we have the redraw. Our curve starts at 2. We can do better. We can do so much better. Yeah. Okay. This is fine. I kind of want to keep the hammer just because I don't have any equipment, and it is a redraw with Shram, and I'm 2 of my 3 pieces for Metalcraft. I guess that means I have to get rid of my Snow-Covered Forest because I'm probably going to get a Temple Garden on one. I think that just means Walking Ballista. I'd rather have the 3 mana than try to shoot down one of their 1/1s when it's probably a Stitcher Supplier. Alright, well, opponent's got something here. Gravecrawler, Stitcher Supplier, Neonate. That is a Sigarda's Aid. Alright, we're doing it! So we run out the Rip first, and then we run out SRAM and put Colossus Hammer on an instep. Nope, Nature's Claim right off the bat. Alright, well hopefully that means that our Rip sticks around. Opponent's down to 4 cards. I guess this is technically a redraw. Well, Hammer's still redraw, so... There is a Pure Steel. Sometimes the deck is just like, bro, you've put in the work. You registered 4 Charging Badgers. We're going to make this right. Yeah, so they do have the red, which means Ancient Grudge is probably in there somewhere. The Nature's Claims. They have more Nature's Claims. That. You make my heart hurt. Okay, well, we have Pure Steel Paladin. And I think that means I'm waiting on the Colossus Hammer. We're at 26. I'd rather draw 2 cards off the hammer than 1. Opponent has 4 lands, 2 Nature's Claims, and a Neonate. To be fair, we did kill them with a Badger. Lame. Lightning Axe, discard Vengevine. Alright, well, they are mostly out of action at this point. Badger! Alright, Pure Steel comes down. I will hammer now. Hope that they don't have another Lightning Axe because they can't discard. We will draw. Not the best draw, but whatevs. That's another shot. Then we get Charging Badger. And Horizon Canopy. The equip on this guy is 8. Yeah, we're going to be cycling this Horizon Canopy. Need 2 more artifacts before I get Metalcraft for the free equips. I don't know. 5 mana also means I get to play a sword and equip it. You don't want to get in with the Neonate? Alright, well, Vengevine's a real clock. Rips all around. Should have waited on the hammer, but how do you ever know that? Okay, so that's actually fine. The question is, do I want to put the collar on Pure Steel Paladin and just gain 2, or do I want to put it on Badger and expect to block the Vengevine and make the trade when this likely comes back? I think that just means I'm attacking. We're going to see if they actually want to sack the Neonate and fog the Pure Steel damage here. So we'll pay 1. Because this damage is going to be fogged, I'm going to equip it here. Gain 1 life. Draw a new card. And that was a mistake. I should have actually cast that with white open in case I drew into a path for the Vengevine. They discarded a Prized Amalgam. Currently no way to get it back, but they do have a second Vengevine. Well, 1 more artifact and my Pure Steel Paladin lets me free equip the Colossus Hammer and have a +10/+10 Badger with Trample, Lifelink, and Vigilance. Sorry, not Vigilance. They left the Vengevine back to block. Interesting. That's a Dryad Arbor. Not the best draw, and I should have ran that out because I'm likely blocking with it. It also would have left me 5 mana up next turn in case I needed to tap it for mana and not been summoning sick. Bloodghast should be getting in. You have a Vengevine and a Prized Amalgam down there. Alright, well, another mana dork means next turn I get a hard equip the Colossus Hammer. So, untapped land, sort of feast and famine. Batter Skull, Stoneforge Mystic. All of these cards are fantastic. Spell Scout works. Metalcraft! The Badger! It has trample! Okay, we're gonna Groot up our Dryad Arbor, just because I think that's the most hilarious outcome here. Groot's got his own little pimp chain. He's got Thor's Mjolnir. But you know what? This is actually called Swol Badger. So, gonna swing in with the Badger because that was the entire point here. But I don't have removal. Oh, if you do, I have Spell Scout. Whatever, this is fine. You should probably look at their yard in case they have another one. Yep, they do have another one. Sad panda. Alright, so opponent did correctly block. We only have to assign 1 damage to each of them. Death Touch kicks in. Then we will put the collar back on Groot. Argentum armor costs 6, and I actually have plenty of mana here, so we'll just keep the land in hand in case we find a smuggler's copter. Dredged a lightning axe. They picked up Golgari Thug. Alright, the Vengevines are coming back. Sad Panda. 2 Ancient Grudges, 2 Nature's Claims. They found 3 Vengevines. Opponent is at 1, though. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 creatures that can block. It might be correct to actually trade with something there. Nothing that can actually come back, but like the Vengevine or the Prized Amalgam that needs a little assistance coming back. Just to fog more damage over more turns. If I find more equipment, I'm in a decent spot. Wow. Well, that's sad. So I can swing in, they just block with the Vengevine. Actually, probably the Thug because they want to dredge more. Okay, so I'm looking at 7, 8, 9, 13. 13 will actually put me low enough that the Bloodghast get haste, so I will be making this trade here. My poor Badger. There might have been an argument to thin there. Alright, this is a kind of live draw. So let's get our land. We can Argentum Armor, equip it on Pure Steel, attack in, blow this guy up. Then they don't have any Death Touchers, but my Pure Steel will still die. Well, kind of out of options, so Let's go for it. When Argentum armor isn't good enough. Hashtag modern. Equip. Draw. I think this still kills my Pure Steel Paladin, though. Which means I'm not coming back. Yeah, I think I'm blocking just because I'll gain 8 for blocking. Full-blown alpha there. Ugh, I really just need to draw Sword of Feast and Famine. Really just need Sword of Feast and Famine. Opponent still hasn't found another Ancient Grudge. Did they just not see that I have lifelink? I will 100% block this and gain 8. You get to put Neonate back on top of your deck. Yep. Then you get a Dredge forward, but I'm at 21 again? And all I really want to do is draw Sword of Feast and Famine. Or Stoneforge Mystic. That does it too. Sword of Feast and Famine. Equipped to the Pure Steel Paladin, and opponent can't block and scoops it up. Alright, we went 2-3 with this abomination called Swol Badger. So what's the takeaway here? Equipment's pretty good regardless of what it's equipped to. Metalcraft is also a little hard to pull off if you're not a voted deck to it. I assume there's a world where you can do red-white affinity and have it be mildly successful. Or I guess it'd probably just be white at that point because you have to do so much enabling on getting double white for the Pure Steel Paladin, but Mox Opal should be able to help with that a lot, and I don't know. That's another conversation to be having. This was kind of viable. We lost to a pretty nutter start for a weird mill dredge deck. We did end up losing to Martyr Proc, but I think Martyr Proc is vastly undervalued in the format. It's a very powerful deck. I also made a play mistake of pathing on one without actually checking to see if they had the mana for it, but I really was afraid of the 30 life gain there, and I've played the deck enough that I know it can explode that way, so I was probably being overcautious. Oh, I didn't actually update the screenshot. We don't have a Swarm Yard in our deck. But we did do mildly well. Like, being able to throw an Argentum armor on a Germ token was very powerful. The more I play Modern, the more I think we might need to be in 2 Batterskull land in Modern. In Legacy, you can get away with a single Batterskull, but you're also running a Jitte in the last equipment slot. It feels right having 3 minimum tutorable equipments, and having 2 swords can be taxing on your mana in this format, where you could potentially just drop a Germ token and have a 4/4. It is also very fast and explosive, though. Like, Stoneforge is kind of mediocre. I've been having a lot of fun with her since she's been unbanned, and I've been trying a lot of different decks, but she does feel slightly on the underpowered side. But, I mean, if you're able to go get an Argentum armor and free equip it, we've shown what the power is to blow up opponents' combo pieces and kind of just go all out with these expensive equipments if you're cheating on their mana cost. I'd actually probably categorize this as an unfair deck because of the number of ways that we're trying to cheat on mana, and Charged Badger was just a funny approach to do it. The number of people tonight that lost to a Badger probably got upset and like super tilted and had to step away, but I had a lot of fun with it. I actually think that the shell might have something going for it because we literally did play with a Badger and we put up decent results. Like, we put up a fight in everything except for our match 3, and I think that was Martyr Proc. Yeah, that was Martyr Proc. That was the only one that we didn't take a single game out of. And Yeah, I mean, respectable. But, anyways, I think that's all I can really mention for Badger. It was supposed to be a meme. I'm thirteene. I do a bunch of fun decks for a site called Squirrel Dealer. If you have a fun deck or a fun idea, or you just want to be like, hey, thirteene, try to do something stupid with this, I'd be happy to answer your questions. Decks at squirreldealer.com. You can also hit me up on Reddit as just thirteene. My schedule's over there on the left. I do fun decks all week long. We do have a full history of all of our videos up on YouTube. Just go Google or go to YouTube and search for Squirrel Dealer. We pop up. I have my schedule over there. Brad One streams on Tuesdays and Thursdays. All of our videos pop up on. We're all being hosted by the Squirrel Dealer staff account on Twitch. So if you do like our content and you want to just check us out, feel free to hit that. But otherwise, I'm thirteene. Thank you for joining me tonight. that was that was definitely a thing. Oh, also a random side note. I assume most people drop off at this point, so I'll have to say it again. I did stream last Wednesday with a collected Conjuring deck. I had so many bad misplays. I did post it unlisted on YouTube, though. It is currently on Squirrel Dealer's website. If you go check it out, it's one of the more recent decks. It's really hard to play Collected Conjuring with Days Undoing, and I didn't have a firm win condition. I ended up just not posting it because of how bad it was. But if you do want to check it out, if you like just seeing stupid decks, the spice level on that was a full-blown 10. But the deck was sweet. It just didn't work, and I played it horribly. But if that's something you actively want to watch, feel free to go check it out. I don't recommend it, though. But thanks for hanging out with me tonight. I'll be back tomorrow night with something fun, and I will talk to you all later.